So we have David in Washington State who has some questions about the ethics of abortion. He doesn't have a strong position, but he's got a couple of scenarios. So David, you are live.
Awesome. Thank you so much for taking my call. I'm actually super excited to have the opportunity to talk with you and be aware, especially as this I will be joining the ranks of physicians in a couple of years' time. And so,
cool.
I have some questions for you about the ethics specifically of abortion. No worries. Just for some context, I am pretty staunchly in favor of someone's legal right to pursue abortion. And I had originally thought before entering medical school that I would be someone who would, have no problem performing an abortion for someone who requested one. But I've recently kind of been thinking more about that position and had thought of a couple scenarios in which I might actually find them a little ethically problematic and maybe become a conscientious objector in those scenarios. So I was hoping to kind of just propose them to you and get to hear your thoughts, if that's all right.
Sure. Let's do it.
Okay. So, I don't know if either of you have seen the movie Gattaca, but I think it's kind of reasonable to assume that in the not so distant future, we will be able to know quite a bit about a fetus and what, maybe what type of life it might have, or what at least its physical health might look like in the future, maybe even physical characteristics, on prenatal testing, CVS, and even amniocentesis and things like that. Even now, we can talk about like certain trisomies and cystic fibrosis and things like that. Sure. And so, to be fair, this is a hypothetical, but say 20 years down the road, I'm a practicing physician, and some patients come to me and say, "Hey, we'd like to, get an abortion." And I look in the medical records and it says, "Hey, like these patients have, had, let's say, 5 abortions in the last 4 years." And I say, "Hey, could you tell me a little bit more about that?" And they say, "Yeah, well, we really want to have our first child have, these characteristics X, Y, and Z. And, through this advanced genetic testing that we had prenatally, none of the previous 5 pregnancies, had those characteristics. So we had them aborted, and now we're in here for try number 6 and didn't work out again. So we'd like to have another abortion and try again." And again, while I'm very staunchly in support of a person's legal right to pursue an abortion, that type of scenario gave me pause. Like, hey, in that situation, what would I do? I am a little bit ethically conflicted about that. So again, it's a hypothetical and maybe a little far-fetched, but I'd be curious to know your thoughts.
So I guess I want to ask you, what do you see as the problem? Can you make it explicit?
Yeah. That's a great question. I'm not sure that I can, because this kind of gets into the whole, like, I guess for me, there's a little bit of like, when does life begin? When does life begin? Is it wrong to terminate what might well be a viable pregnancy, where that, that fetus might be able to survive and have a perfectly happy life?
Is that relevant?
I don't know.
Do you think that's a relevant question to ask, though? What is the potential of the what does the potential have anything to do with what does the potential life have anything to do with the decision to get an abortion?
What does the potential life have anything to do with the decision to get an abortion? No, sorry, I'm considering your question. What does the potential life have anything to do with the decision to get an abortion?
Yeah.
I suppose it's that it is the decision to end potential.
What's the problem with that?
I guess
Feel free to jump in, Vino, if you have.
I got a whole other tact.
Yeah, no, I mean, like in this specific situation, it would be like the thing that gives me pause about the situation is the reasons for the decision to end the potential.
I see. So my
it's like say it's like I don't want a kid. I want my kid to have blue eyes, and we tested, and this fetus is going to grow up and have green eyes. Like that. I guess for me is where I'm a little conflicted.
So, I get that. It's the like basically the eugenics worry. I would suppose.
Right.
But I did think about this a bit when you brought up this question. I don't think it's obvious because eugenics is obviously so vilified, and anything that like reads as eugenics is obviously going to feel bad, like at a gut reaction level. So. But the way I look at it is you have choice about how you reproduce all the time. You pick your partner, and the genetic composition of your partner is like, not directly up to you, but at least ostensibly you get to pick that. You get to choose, when and when you want to have your kids and how you want to raise them, all of these things that contribute significantly to the type of person they are. You also get to have an abortion and decide you don't want to have a kid. We even do things like genetic testing before you get pregnant, so you can kind of get a better picture of their health and their makeup and whatever they'll look like. So if you think that we should allow abortions and you think that we should be allowed to pick our partners, I don't think it actually gets that fuzzy in the middle. If somebody wants to have any number of abortions, 5 abortions is just as moral as 1 abortion, in my opinion. And just because they're picking on this, they might as well be picking a new partner to try a new combination. And I don't think like the biggest factors in the lives of these kids are going to be, always the specific genetic remix of the two same people, right? It's going to be how they raise them and the 2 people that initially go into it as well. So if they want to go for it, it seems like a lot of work, but I don't see anything wrong with it.
And David, are you? David, are you aware that with in vitro, we can create fertilized embryos, and we can assess their genetics by doing like a very delicate cell sampling, and then we can choose which one of those embryos to implant. So that's done now. Or do you have a problem with that?
Right.
Selecting before pregnancy?
I don't have a problem with that. And I didn't, again, I don't know if I maybe communicated this wrong, but I don't explicitly have a problem with the situation that I've had proposed earlier. It's just something that had gotten me to think about my original stance, which was I didn't think that there was any ethical problem ever with it. Mm-hmm. But I think that you brought up some really great points, and I appreciate it because it, I guess, in a way reinforces what I had originally thought, and I guess puts to rest some of the doubts that had crept into my mind when I was presented with some of those scenarios.
I mean, it's good. When you feel uncomfortable with a thought, I think that's a good sign that you're seeing a side that you haven't thought about before. So don't shy away from that. Did you have another scenario you wanted to run by us?
There was another scenario that was a little bit less troubling for me. And after hearing what y'all have to say about that, I really don't think it posed much trouble for me at all. So no.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Well, thanks for your call, David. It was great talking to you, and I hope you join the field as you intend to or plan to. So thanks for calling.
Yep. Thanks, guys. Have a good evening.
Yeah, that's it's a good question, and I think you hit the nail on the head, Vino. The real trouble is the eugenics the angle towards the eugenics thing, right?
The invocation of eugenics at the very least. And I think
Right.
that my biggest if I have any problem with it at all, it's just an inefficient way to do what they're trying to do. Like you said, just do in vitro.
Well, I mean, sure, but it is a real problem, right? So like
Yeah.
certain ethnicities overvalue, for instance, or like prefer male children to female children.
Yeah.
And so there was a trend with people getting abortions for female fetuses to try to get a male fetus. And there are sort of broad strokes problems with that, but I don't think that you can solve those by controlling the bodily autonomy or impeding the bodily autonomy of people having the babies, right?
Yeah.
You need to come up with you need to come up with like a social level, political or a policy level solution to the problem, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you think?
No, I completely agree. That's what I'm saying. Like there are practical problems with this. Like you said, sexism and racism included. Or whatever. People wanting blue eyes or male children or what have you. But I see that as an issue, and probably like a population issue a government might want to solve, frankly.
Right. Exactly.
But yeah, like in North America, on average, people prefer to have female children, which is at odds with other areas. So it's probable, like we wouldn't be so careful to like, are you sure you're doing this for this reason? But like, it doesn't seem like the right tact. I just can't imagine this ever being successful long term. And plus, like banning an abortion is generally not a good strategy because people will get them elsewhere. So
yeah, it's true.
Even if you wanted to, even if it was the right moral question or right moral solution, you still wouldn't want to solve it that way.
Yeah, it then becomes a design problem.
Yeah.